Here we are for yet another episode of Trine University League of Legends competition. This week actually marks the start of the Teemo Cup, which is a brand new competition. Well, not brand new, just this is the first time we're doing this year, and it's a much more simplified format in that if you lose a single time, you're just out of the tournament. So if you consider that, and you consider that I do graduate in right around a month here, as soon as Trine loses in the Teemo Cup, that will be the last game that I broadcast for Trine. Actually, unless unless something else comes up and they want me back here for some reason. But as far as regularly scheduled programming goes, this could very quickly just be the end of it for me. Which I think I've had enough time doing this. But then again, I'll probably have to mention this like 4 more times because I won't know what to say, and there's only like 3 people watching right now, if that, so I can just like trust that basically no one will have heard this, so it'll be new every time. In other news, well, there's not really other news. Let me pull up the client here. There we go. And I can resize that too. Let me close that chat window first of all. We can put that properly. Filling the screen. Perfect. And as always, bear with me. There might be some technical difficulties here and there, but we will try to get those resolved as quickly as possible. It shouldn't be too bad most of the time. But if it is, we'll either be back on in 5 minutes or I'll make it very clear before I end the stream that we will not be coming back from that. Those are really the two options. If it just sort of crashes abruptly, we will be getting back on as soon as possible. So, no need to worry there. In other news, I am yet again surrounded by people playing Rainbow Six Siege. So if you hear any background noises or anything over the mic, that's likely what that is. But, there's not really a ton I could do about it. This is I think this is their actual practice time, and we just kind of got pushed in here on a reschedule, so that's really what we're dealing with here. I think the game was originally supposed to be on Saturday, and that just didn't work for the team. So, yeah. I'll move this until we need to see the minimap. Looks like Trine is taking red side, which is good because they're already in the red side of the lobby, so we don't have to wait for people to shuffle around. Actually, they're not in the right order, which is they're going to have to shuffle around anyway. That's great. Very, very classy joke there by Dragon Wife. God. How is this like a real thing people do? I was thinking about that recently. This is fake. Esports. Like, just look at these names here, What is Thriller Bardchugo? Oh, Thriller is a separate person from Bardchugo. I thought it ran out of space on the line and moved to a second one. I'll open the spectator tool. I'll switch to it when we actually start using it, but while we're waiting for people to get in here, shouldn't be much interesting going on over there. And when they send messages, you can read them if you want on the when the chat is on this screen. And it doesn't look like we have any, yeah. Doesn't look like we have any viewers at the moment, because that one is just me. I think I have it open on another button. I'll either be back on in 5 minutes or I'll make it very... Okay, you're getting a little bit of an echo there for a second, but that's just because I was doing a sound test. Just a reminder, I'm 3 minutes behind the game. You all are 3 minutes behind me. So that means we're going to have a big delay between me reading something in chat and responding to it. So if we have technical issues, I'm sorry, but please bear with me. What else? Oh, the client has been doing this really cool thing recently where when the game ends, even if the spectator client hasn't caught up to it, it just kind of decides to boot you from spectator. So we will see if we even get to see the last 3 minutes of any of the games. Because sometimes it just decides we don't get to. So that's cool. Be prepared for that. Other than that, I don't know. There's not much else going on right now, to be honest. We do have 2 viewers now. Fantastic. That's progress. Okay, well, we are already gotten a 5-minute delay here.
I just shot Ayana straight in the
so, if you... I'm not really sure what the Teemo Cup rules are, but some of the other tournaments we've been in is that if one team isn't ready after 15 minutes, it's an automatic forfeit, although, of course, we did ask them to reschedule, and they were very kind in saying we could play this Monday instead of Saturday when a bunch of the team had conflicts. So, you know, I'm not sure we would enforce the surrender rule, even if they went a little bit over time. Alright. Let's see what else. Oh, here's what I can do. I can pull up stats and stuff for this team. So if I go to... Yeah. If I go over here to this website, this handy dandy website that everyone uses for scouting, I can go to multi-search. Can put in 1, 2. I'm not going to be able to type in thriller because that is not actually thriller spelled Thriller. That is some combination of capital I's, lowercase l's. And I think it looks like a special character in the center because that doesn't have a dot over that I, so, you know, I will not have a good chance of figuring out how to do that one. As far as these 3 go, that being Bard, Chugo, Demon Slayer 231, and Dragon Wife, we can now see that they are... Not who I'm looking for. What? Okay, because they've been saying they were waiting for their ADC to show up, and according to this, Dragon Wife is mostly an ADC. So I'm not totally sure what's up with that. It could be they're just forcing him into a different role to fit the team better. But, you know, maybe not at the same time. Okay. I can't really find times they played together. Oh, here we go. That takes me to Thriller's profile. Dragon Wife's actual profile. basically impossible to tell like what the actual team is because they keep switching around positions and sometimes having just completely different players than other times. It looks like Thriller is their jungler. That's what I know for now. He's Platinum 2, and he likes to play Kane and Jarvan, who are both very good picks right now. Dragon Wife is Silver 2. It looks like is the mid laner. They play a lot of Vex, but they also play a lot of ADC, so not totally sure how that one works. Bartugo looks like their support. He likes to play Thresh, Nautilus, Rakan, and Heimerdinger, all of which are very good at the moment. I actually think Heimerdinger's kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit, but they weren't likely to pick him anyway. That's kind of a gimmicky idea. And I can't find the other two people, so that's as much content as I can spin out of that. We were supposed to start at precisely at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is now 10 minutes ago. So I'll just keep trying to figure out things to say. For my 3 whole viewers, that's incredible. Actually, it looks like we lose viewers every time I mention how many viewers there are. So that's not good. Okay. Well. Okay. He is still missing, and we are still waiting. So that's, that's fine. Okay, so there's something happening in the chat. It looks like both teams are just kind of kidding around. Just while we wait, we could take a moment to congratulate Magic Griffin. If I go to his profile here, Trine's support player has reached Solo Queue Master. If you know League of Legends, you know how big of a deal that is. It's not as good as Challenger, but we take what we can get, especially when the rest of the team is, well, our ADC is Diamond 1, but everybody else is like Platinum and Gold, so, just consider the difference here. Oh, he's only Platinum in solo queue. Ew. You got Diamond 1 and Flex. Who does that? Top lane is Platinum, and mid lane is Gold and Silver. Ooh. Project Chrono, our jungler, is Platinum/Gold. Okay. I am, I'm ranked higher than our mid laner, actually. Oh. ADC woke up, or whatever. They were going to surrender if it reached 6:45. Alright. Well, for now, I I don't know. I can't commentate over this. There's nothing to say. We've just kind of been staring at this same screen for uh, 13 minutes, but it looks like we're going to be actually starting soon. Oh my god. This looks like a very uneven match. If I'm just being honest. Common Trine Universe. This isn't Trine this time. This is our competition. It's just not here just yet. Trine's team were all here on time, and for that matter, I started the stream 5 minutes earlier than I usually do. So, you know, think about that. I don't know how CS:GO was. But we've been good about not having to forfeit matches just because people don't show up. Okay. Let's go to the draft tool. There we go. It looks like we're going to be starting the actual draft soon. So, that's fun stuff. Progress. I think I put it up here. The draft is going on. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. Well, I don't know if you anybody heard that, but you know, again, surrounded by people doing their own practices. Do not listen to what I have to say. So, I don't really control what gets broadcast here. There we go. Yes. The Trine bar filling out like that is a sign that they are actually ready to start the draft. Now we're just waiting for FAU Owls Red. Which I looked up what that stands for just before I started the stream, and then I forgot. Because that was now 15 minutes ago. And I was kind of trying to come up with other things to say. Florida Atlantic University, apparently. So that's cool. Oh, we're actually drafting. Okay, so first two bands have come out here. We have Viego and Wuhong gone. Two very good junglers. Viego had, I think, like a 60 to 70% presence at Worlds last year, which is on the higher end, especially when he's so, you know, contested. Oh my goodness. I need to have this open like that, or it won't update in real time. Okay. There we go. Now we're actually, like, on the road. The Seraphine band, that's something Trine is known for playing, and the Zac too. Kane and Tristana are both target bands for FAU Owls Red. Those aren't really in the meta at the moment, but if you're practice at them, you know, they become dangerous. So, just taking that away. The captain and campus security had to come wake me up. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. I've heard some horror stories, and even the Trine League of Legends team in other years ended up just going a little crazy like that too. Jarvan 4 and Vigar both, staples of Trine's draft strategy at this point. Until either of those champions gets like major changes, it's just constantly going to be showing up in our matches. And we see the Thresh, kind of excessively good right now in the support role. I think he's slated for nerfs next patch, just because of the sheer amount of crowd control he could put out. And I guess we know the bot lane then too. Jinx and Thresh are very good together. Um, that's a decent amount of early kill pressure and just like poke that they can put out. And we're seeing the Vex. As far as I can tell, FAU Red's mid laner is kind of a Vex one trick, so I'm kind of surprised it didn't get banned. But I guess we'll see how well it does in this game, and why or why not they might not be scared of it. Trying for their final pick of this first pick phase is going to be probably the support if I had to guess. No, the ADC. They're just going to take the Xayah. Sort of just generically strong. There's not really a gimmick there just yet. I think this is pretty reflective of the meta, except the fact that no one picked Caitlyn. I know Trine normally picks Caitlyn, so I wonder what kind of deal he cut with the team captain to get Xayah instead. Now Trine's gonna ban Shen. Shen's not necessarily good. He does a lot of damage, but he doesn't really have the presence that a lot of other top laners do. In that, he doesn't win fights on his own, really. He's got his ultimate, but that's pretty much it. FAU Alsred going to ban the Rakan. Rakan and Xayah, of course, having the paired up abilities that give them, bonuses together. I mean, the bonuses are pretty small at this point. They don't really synergize all that well anyway. So I'm not sure that's worth a ban, but, we'll see if this strategy works out for them. Next up, we're getting the Lilia ban. She's kind of generically strong. And run out of Glask. I'm not really sure about that one. I don't think Glask combines well with anything on this team just yet. It's good against like Jinx as a hyper carry, I guess, but when your other two laners so far are Thresh and Vex, I don't think the Renata Glass Gold is really something to be worried about. They're going to pick the Nautilus support. That was another possible option for FAU Alsred. You recognize that in their statistics at one point. And then, next up, the Kindred for the jungle, most likely. That's really weird. It kind of makes the Renata Glass ban make sense, though. If you're having two high damage auto attack based carries in the game, you probably don't want to be facing Renata. But it doesn't look like that was ever going to be Trine's plan anyway. They would pick something like the Nautilus here. And now we're picking the Malphite. Kind of just a generically overpowered tank at the moment. I don't think he's got... he has one counter, I think, which is the Mordekaiser. Other than that, he's got mostly winning matchups, and into the late game he just becomes a huge scaling threat. Vigar is really the only one capable of shutting him down on Trine's team, just because of the sheer amount of armor he gets. Trine's going to pick the Sylas. What? I don't think we've ever seen the Sylas come out from Trine before, and I can't tell what lane that's going in, because now I'm thinking it might be Jarvan top. I know I was just talking about that with Trine's top laner just yesterday, actually, as a possibility for this game. So, that might happen. Either way, we'll find out soon when we redo that entire draft phase in the client. And it looks like we're getting in. Fantastic. It's way faster than it was the first time. And You know what? Hopefully these games all go pretty quick, so we have a normal length broadcast, even with the delay at the start. Just a reminder that they can ban and pick in any order they want, so long as they end up with all the same champions. But other than that, you know, it doesn't matter. Precisely.
Who questions my ability?
You got it, Sludge. You got it, buddy. I believe it.
Alright. It looks like both teams are opting to just ban things in the same order for the sake of simplicity, which is pretty normal. But when we get to the actual picks, we should see some difference, as people get to pick for themselves instead of having to pick for the team comp.
I'll watch behind again.
The weak fear the shadows.
Fear controls them. Well,
Now, I don't really understand why you would take the Kindred pick, Kindred and Malphite picks last on the pick tool there, because they don't really seem to have any sort of surprise ability that you know, Trine could fall into. I guess if they Trine drafted way too much AD, then the Malphite would, as a surprise, would be good. But on the other hand, I think Jarvan will most likely not bother hitting him at all ever. So it's basically just, you know, Trine has an ADC, which you can already pretty much predict. Other than that, they don't really have a lot of AD damage.
Motherfucker!
It looks like the first person picked the Jinx for some reason, so they're probably going to swap, if I had to guess. It's not really helpful. Oh, we are getting the Sylas top. That's... I don't think Trine has played that a lot this season. I don't think it's been good for a while, but when Sylas first came out, it was fairly popular. And then after that, it sort of lived on as this niche pick.
Seriously? Lame.
Alright. Well, going on assuming that the Jinx pick was a mistake and not actual. We can kind of start looking at what matchups are going to look like here. Thresh and Jinx are just going to have an incredible amount of early pressure against Xayah and Nautilus. Although, you know, if Thresh tries to engage by hooking the Nautilus, he will definitely try to turn it around. So we could see a big fight there, possibly. In the mid lane, Vex and a Veigar, they're both going to look to farm for as long as possible. Although Veigar scales better with it than Vex does, which should mean Trine has an advantage there. In the jungle, Kindred versus Jarvan 4. I think Kindred is most likely going to take more time to get online, so Jarvan will probably have a higher frequency of fights in the early game, and might even just camp out at one of Kindred's, you know, marked camps to try to catch them out and kill them. Because Jarvan can just kind of do that at level 3. I'm not really sure what that was. Sylas and the Malphite, I don't really know how that matchup goes, to be honest, but they did pick an AP top laner, which is good into Malphite, better than most other characters. Although on the other hand, you know, it is still Sylas top. You still have to commit to playing it. Alright. Well, just a reminder that in 10 seconds now, after the prepare your loadout countdown timer goes away, we're going to have another 3 full minutes of just talking over nothing as we wait for the spectator delay, which is 3 minutes, or as it displays, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. At the end of that, we will get into game. There's 3 ways that has broken so far this year. So the first way is that you guys get a black screen for a little while. I'll try to fix that as fast as possible, but, you know, it might just happen. Second way is that the spectator client doesn't work, and it just kicks me out, at which point I'll have to stop the broadcast until game 2 because there is nothing to, or there is no way to get back into the spectator client after it kicks you out. The third way is that it crashes the entire computer, at which point this stream will go down for 5-ish minutes at a minimum, and then it'll be back up, and I should be able to get in and actually spectate the game. But that's just, you know,
Alright, everyone.
rough luck.
This way.
We're just gonna cross our fingers
Drone it.
and hope that doesn't happen. And if it does, please stick around if we just sort of cut out, surprisingly, at or before a loading screen. Alright. Well, let's see. Trine has been very aggressive in early games now. I'm not really sure what changed, but over the last, basically over the last semester, they have been level 1 invading almost every game. So we will see if that happens. Their go-to move, if they aren't level 1 invading, is to just all group up in a bush and try to kill the other team who are invading them, if they think the other team is going to invade them. Which they might, now that Thresh is here, although the rest of the FAU team is not really capable of engaging level 1, so it's kind of a toss-up if they do that. It's always fun to watch the fireworks, though. That's one thing that's for sure.
Jesus fucking.
Okay.
Still scared me.
As for right now, for the next 20 seconds, I'm going to reiterate something I said at the start of the stream before anybody got here, is that once a team loses in Teemo Cup, they are just out of the tournament, which also means that once Trine loses in Teemo Cup, I will no longer be broadcasting for them, or most likely, just because of you know, the limited number of games before I just graduate, which is a very exciting thought for me. Okay, so it looks like I'm getting into the loading screen fine.
Take a top push.
So we'll see if, you know, we'll see what fantastic new way it breaks in. Okay, well, Trine are pinging for an invade, so we're gonna see some early game action here. Game capture. Let's go. Okay. The game has been paused. And then in a second, the game will be unpaused. Except we always have a delay on the game being unpaused, just because the spectator delay has to pause for roughly the same amount of time. Okay. So it doesn't look like FAU are totally prepared for something like this to happen. Plus Jinx is a little bit far up. Oh. Did we get paused again? Okay, yes. We did get paused for a second, but we're back. And now... Yeah, okay, Jinx just gets caught out and dies immediately. That is an immediate first blood for Trine onto Xayah, and the entire Trine team got assists on it. So, good stuff. They're pinging Jinx flash. Jinx did not flash. I don't think they know that. Well, they'll probably figure it out later. And we can get objective timers up too, just because I love those. So. It looks like both teams are deciding to start in the bottom lane, which means we should see a 2v2 in the top lane right around 3 minutes, or when the Scuttle Crab spawns, whichever one is first. Or Sylas trying and failing to punish the Malphite. I'm not really sure they thought this pick through very well. Because, you know, Malphite has a lot of poke, and also he does not play, or Trine's player does not play Sylas. Oh, yep, they found out that Jinx, in fact, did not flash in the last fight. She just flashed there now. But still, that is a worthy gank, pretty much. As long as you get a flash, you're usually happy. In the top lane, Sylas cannot land an E-chain to save his life just because Malphite is being really good about abusing minions in his place. And in the middle lane, single combat is going very slowly. It looks like Kindred's coming up behind the Sylas here. That's going to be an early gank. Although, I think if she does that, Malphite might just die. He does not have a lot of health to work with. Oh yeah, Malphite had to flash out, but Kindred's still coming up. This is probably going to be a 1v1 between the Sylas and the Kindred. Or he's going to run through their jungle to try to get out. Which it looks like is going to work, except in the middle lane, Vex is just being caught out by the Jarvan and the Veigar. I mean, caught out's a strong word, but, you know, she does die. So that is a second kill for Trine in 3 minutes flat, and Sylas managed to escape that top lane gank.
Oh, in the bathroom, in the bathroom.
Kindred's passive has marked Scuttle Crab, and it looks like Sylas has taken note and is just going to stand around there and try to jump her when she pops out. Which is exactly right now. Yeah, the Sylas uses the flash to guarantee the E-chain hit. He definitely didn't need to, and it looks like it's going to be a misplay. But what can you do? Although Veigar is going to come clean up, it looks like. Ooh. And then the bottom lane, just a random fight. Okay, so that was a 2 for 2 in the top lane just now. And it looks like in the bottom lane, Thresh almost died and just barely managed to survive. While Trine was sort of winning the trade handily, putting the total score at 2-4, even just 4 minutes into the game. Does anybody have any insane items yet? Oh, Sylas just coming back with a blasting wand in 4 minutes. He's going to do entirely too much damage to this Malphite. So top lane, I think, is a lane to watch right now. Actually, the Nautilus with the Hex Flash is just going to kill the Thresh immediately as he walks back, or he walks up to last hit. Jinx knows she can't really stay, so she's taking a back here. But I don't know that she can really afford to do that either, because it looks like Trine just going to push the wave in and deny a bunch of experience. No, they're even just going to freeze at their own tower. Sylas also trying to freeze, although of course his entire trading combo is AoE abilities, so he realizes he can't really afford to do that, it looks like. Or he was just thinning it and he's still going to freeze. That is also possible. Meanwhile, Malphite winning trades he definitely should not be winning, just because Kettle Whip does not know how to play Sylas. I mean, I don't think I've seen him land a Q explosion before that one just now. That's kind of a central skill to playing the character. Although, for what it's worth, Malphite is dead anyway, as Jarvan is just absolutely on pace to run this game with 3 ganks in 6 minutes, it looks like. Kindred is prepared for something in the bottom lane, but Trine smells something fishy. They are backing off, except for Nautilus, who's still playing just a little bit up. Not far enough up to actually, like, be in danger, but just a little bit. It looks like Trine's playing around the Kindred mark on the Gromp there, but, you know, there is no, they don't know that Kindred is actually not on it, as she just backed after her master plan bot lane failed completely. So, Sylas actually has Malphite ult now, even though he doesn't have it. just because of how Sylas ult works, which I always thought was a little strange. Oh, and just in the middle lane, we're having a random solo kill on the Vex. I thought that was just going to be a poke thing, but no. The Veigar ult coming down, executing at like 400 health, even this early into the game. It's 2 and 7 at 7 minutes. Trine is like 2,500 gold ahead. And they're even going for Dragon right now. It doesn't look like FAU can really contest it. They do know it's happening, so we might see some sparks fly here, but... Oh, actually, in the top lane, Malphite taking the Malphite ult and having to use his own ult to get away. Although Veigar is caught out and the Kindred is here to capitalize. That is a big shutdown for the Kindred. Plus that was her mark, so huge value. Now Kindred's going to the mark in the top side jungle here. Jarvan knows that it's going to happen and is trying to go deal with it. Although it looks like Kindred gets it anyway, unfortunately for Jarvan. It looks like Nautilus was trying to freeze the wave, and Jinx just simply didn't let him, which is good stuff on her part. What is this Malphite building? Oh, he bought magic resist boots first. Like that's going to help. Alright, I'm kind of down on magic resist boots recently, because I realized that, you know, per given point of magic resist, you only get like a little bit of effective health, and only against like the magic parts of people's kits. Modern character design, they have a good mix of damage, first of all. And second of all, like, the armor boots are just better defensively for, you know, all the times the other character just kind of hits you mid-combo, which is almost all the time. And the tenacity doesn't really do anything when the entire enemy team is full of knockups, like, I don't know, Sylas, Jarvan, and Nautilus are. It'll be decent against, like, Veigar Cage and Nautilus's passive route, but other than that, it's kind of, you know, the tenacity is kind of not a real stat. In the top lane, more high-octane gameplay, as Malphite realizes exactly what I've been saying, which is that, you know, the magic resist boots aren't doing a lot. Trine's taking their second jungle objective of the game, which is a Rift Herald to go with their dragon. Although Nautilus is all the way up there, if Jinx and Thresh find out in time. Oh, actually, Malphite's going to step a little bit too far up and look like he's going to get caught out and completely bait me. Meanwhile, Sylas is posturing around the Rift Herald just to scare everyone else off. That is 4 people dedicated to stopping, or dedicated to ensuring the Rift Herald for Trine. And it paid off because they did get the Rift Herald. Now, now Kindred thinks Sylas is overextended. Unfortunately, he's not. Jarvan is there to back him up. So that is, you know, not an opportunity for a play for FAU. Although at least none of them died. Although I will note that's the second time Malphite ult has been used by Malphite to escape Sylas. Which is not really the way you want to be using that ability. Even this early, you kind of want to use it to get kills where you can. Like walking mid lane or something. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Malphite has much room to do that in between Sylas almost one-shotting him. Because, you know, magic resist boots are not real. Nautilus does not know he's sitting on a ward here. It looks like he's trying to set up a play and just kind of waiting for them to step up, but they're not going to because they do know he's there. And, oh, he's going to walk up anyway and tank a Thresh Hook. But actually, that was a bait or something. What? This is the weirdest engage I've seen in my life. Oh, Kindred is there to back him up. And Xayah ends up having to flash away. Alright, but Xayah did manage to keep hold of her ult in that fight. And so can probably win another fight if it happens soon. As for right now, all 5 people involved in that are backing off in order to spend gold and refill their resources. It looks like Sylas has Malphite ult again, or no, he just used he just used Kindred ult because it was about to time out. So he does not have access to like the stealing ult ability for a while here. Malphite is just getting absolutely clobbered. He bought a ruby crystal and everything. Like, he's doing everything he can. You just can't really like itemize against AP characters in this meta. Oh, and he gets hit by the long range chain. That is so sad for him. As for right now, he managed to get out just barely, although Jarvan is here to kill Thresh again. And actually, it's going to turn into multiple kills at the least, as Kindred steps just a little bit too far out of her ult and does not get the heal. It looks like Trine might be considering a tower dive here, or just going to get Dragon. One or the other. Yeah, it looks like they're going to get Dragon, because Jarvan is making... Or Jinx is making the intelligent play and just leaving. Malphite ult used there to just knock up the Sylas and start an engage, except he ends up doing way more damage. Because, you know, character diff. Well, I mean, I promise I wasn't lying earlier. Malphite is genuinely really good right now. It's just that he's not really that good into mages, which, you know, especially when those mages are good characters like Sylas. Oh, Vex catching a Veigar stun. Oh, into just the biggest Xayah ult I've ever seen to instantly obliterate two of FAU's players, and in the top lane, Malphite is about to die in a completely separate fight and has to flash out anyway. And try and get their second dragon in the process. The score is 3-12 at 13 minutes, and Trine are taking the first tower right now. Well, this is not where you want to be if you're an FAU fan, but it looks like we're going to get to go home early. The second game starts off this same way. Which, of course, you can never assume that it will, but if Trine keeps this up, we will we'll be out of here in 40 minutes flat. And of course, because AP characters get to do damage to towers, Sylas is also on the verge of taking his tower. He could have, if platings had fallen off a little bit sooner there, because then it loses something like 25 resistances, something ridiculous like that. It's important to note that because FAU are 8,000 gold behind, they now have objective bounties, which means any objective they take is going to give them even more gold than it already would. Even still, you know, they need to take a lot to make up that difference. Especially considering the permanent scaling that Veigar's already gotten off his kills he's gotten here and there. Looks like Nautilus is looking for something topside, except Kindred is also looking for something topside. They didn't see each other, I think. But that was just really unlucky timing for both of them. Because, you know, since they were both there, neither of them could really do anything. As for right now, Malphite really is trying his hardest, but there just genuinely isn't an item you can build against Sylas that makes sense here. The best you could do is probably Force of Nature, but all of his scalings are on armor, and that doesn't really help against, you know, Trine's actual carries of Veigar and Xayah. Veigar doesn't tend to stack up Force of Nature as much as just kill you at 3 stacks by using 3 abilities, and you know, Xayah does not interact with it at all. So that's not good. This is not a good position to be in, even though he's only died in lane twice. The lane is just so far out of reach as to be unwinnable. The second Rift Herald is coming up, and it looks like Trine are already forming up around it. They do have vision control of the entire top side, and Sylas pushing into tower, which should mean that they just get it for free. Actually, Malphite having to ult out again, and it's not even going to be enough because there are just 4 people coming to kill him for no reason. I have been there, and that feels really bad. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Veigar versus Vex, ultimate Yordle battle. Veigar is just taking just a ton of damage and then flashing for no reason, I think, to try to dodge an ability that wasn't coming. Although now Veigar's kind of caught out. Jinx and Kindred are both coming to kill him, except he has teleport to get away just in time as Trine gets Rift Herald. I guess that was just a huge play, waste of time for the entire FAU team. They are now 10,000 gold down, 4 jungle objectives down, 3 towers down. If this were solo queue, I would imagine they would be surrendering at 15 minutes right now. Especially since, even after all that, they are 10 kills down, 10 being a huge number, equivalent to just 3,000 gold. Of course, they can't actually see the gold graph, so they don't know specifics, but if you can look at the kill number and multiply that by 300, you know, at a minimum, Trine is 3,000 gold ahead of you, which is kind of where this snowballing effect starts to set in. The third dragon is coming up in 1 minute and 10 seconds as of Nautilus ping, although objective timer says 50 seconds. So, when that's here, Trine will probably get their third dragon of the game. And of course, when they get 4, if they get 4, they get a very big permanent bonus, which is, in this case, a massive shield for everyone all the time that regenerates. So, FAU does not want to have that happen. So I'm expecting a big fight over this dragon here in a minute, or at least, you know, some of FAU's players considering fighting, even if they can't actually, like, do anything about it, as I predict they can't, really. Actually, Jinx doesn't even have her mythic item yet, which is very unfortunate for FAU. Like, that would be where they're, oh my god, we have the Nautilus flash coming out and the Jarvan ult onto the Thresh. That is entirely too many resources on the support, except they get the kill, so, you know, does it really matter? I think it might. Vex is trying to make something happen, or I guess just getting caught out there in the bot side jungle. And as for right now, it looks like Trine are going to get this third dragon completely uncontested, and Sylas is going to move his split pushing operation into the bottom lane as the top laner. In theory, always wants to be on the opposite side of the map from the next objective, and the next objective, of course, is Baron, spawning at 20 minutes. We might see Trine go for a 20-minute Baron. It's not really a very common thing to do, but just because they're so far ahead, and they're already at a point that is comparable to, you know, plenty of other teams even later on into the game, it's definitely possible for them to do. As for right now, the Malphite ult finally used offensively a single time. It's not going to turn into a kill, and the Thresh hook is cruelly denied by one minion who survived all of the explosions and everything just beforehand. Veigar is just putting out insane damage over the wall there. So Vex has to back, looks like, yeah. Although Jinx does have her mythic item. Mostly the way FAU would get back into this is protecting the Jinx for a fight, as she shoots the entire Trine team a couple hundred times, which is maybe not totally realistic when there's a Sylas, but they don't really have a lot of other options. Kindred doesn't really have the early game dominance that she should have, just because she hasn't been doing entirely too well in this game so far. And their Malphite is actually less effective with his ult than Sylas is with his, because of the you know, the additional damage that Sylas gets just from, you know, actually building AP items instead of tank items, which should mean anybody he hits with it just kind of evaporates. Especially considering, you know, its other abilities all also do damage. Xayah is considering going for this turret in the mid lane, but it's not totally safe. She's just keeping the minions pushed up so that they can do a bunch of free damage to it. And it looks like Trine are denying the resources of FAU as much as they can. Oh, Jinx walks up too far. She manages to flash the fake Malphite ult, but, you know, she's just gonna die anyway. The Jarvan tries to flash out, but the Jinx root was there to stop him. And the Vex ult just missing there in the middle. Although, now that Kindred ult has ended, Kindred is no longer safe. Neither is the Malphite. And Veigar is behind them for some reason. Not really sure how that happened. And now Vex is caught in the cage, which, yes, that means she dies. It is a 5-for-1, putting the score at 4-19, with a 14,000 gold advantage for Trine. I mean, It's a might be a little early to call it, but I have to imagine that Trine might just be able to end the game if they win another fight here. Especially if, you know, Thresh takes a poor engage by hooking the Nautilus. Alright. Well, Baron is up. And it looks like FAU are trying to play around it by sending Malphite and Thresh up to get vision control. Although that doesn't really matter. Even if they have vision control, they can't really contest it just because anybody who walks too close will die. With Trine being as far ahead as they are. The 4th dragon spawns soon. In under a minute. Just under a minute. And Trine are fully content to just wait for something impactful to happen and not really try to force any plays themselves. Which they could be at this point. Just trying to set things up on their own. It looks like Sylas is kind of taking some initiative in the mid lane and Vigar trying to fight Vex in the bottom. But, you know, Thresh can get the Malphite out. Vex can simply walk away. Trine are actually just going to be starting Baron here. Looks like they're having Vigar defend the dragon on his own. He probably can at this point. Just the amount of area control that a wealthy Vigar can put out is basically unmatched. And the Nautilus hook just randomly onto the Malphite. Sylas using the fake Malphite ult to knock up 2 people, and actual Malphite missing the ADC. With the Nautilus flash to catch the Jinx out, that's going to be probably another, yes, another ace for Trine. This time losing no players. Leaving the final score at 4 for 24 for Trine. And in that last fight, Jarvan didn't even use his ultimate, which he is very proud of. He's pinging it in the corner there, as you can see. And Nautilus is taking a bunch of tower shots to prove how good he is at the game or whatever, I don't know. But that is, you know, a quick game. Quick game. I guess I'll get my wish. Alright. Well, let's get into that second lobby. It'll be interesting to see how each team's strategy changes this game, based on what happened in the last game. Trine has a history of getting kind of cocky when a game goes like that, and just like full on throwing a the second game of the series. So hopefully that doesn't happen. FAU might have a better idea of what to play around now, so that's positive for them. And I will go get some water. So I do kind of need that. So while I'm gone, feel free to get your own water, snack, bathroom break, walk the dog, do laundry, I don't know, your life. And I should be back in 3 minutes or less. So please stick around. Alright, I have returned. Sorry for the break. Oh, 3 minutes exactly. I was right. Well, isn't that just great? It looks like we're just waiting for both teams to get ready. But once we do, we can switch over to the draft tool and start our first of 2 drafts, followed by 3 minutes of dead air, which is always fun. Alright. Trine is now ready in draft. And that is a representative of FAU. Let's see it. Alright. Not totally sure what we're waiting for. Oh, we are going, yes. Solid. Trine starting off with the Viego band, same as last game. Probably don't want anything unexpected to happen. FAUL is red still, prioritizing the Wukong over everything else. Trine with the Kane band, same as last game. Seraphine, I think that's the same as last game.
Oh, I know.
And that's,
I know who's who.
who did Trine ban last game in this third position? I don't quite remember. I'm sure I could go back and look. Oh, Tristana. Somebody banned Tristana last game. It might have been. It was probably Trine. And FAUL's red. Will they ban something they saw last game, or stick with the same bans as last game? No, they're going to ban the Jinx so Trine can't take it. I don't think that was ever a risk. I'm not totally sure Trine plays Jinx. Although, as we saw with the Silas pick, whether or not Trine plays it is apparently not a concern. That's Sejuani first pick. That could either be top, mid, or jungle. No, top support or jungle, I think, is the 3 roles they play it in. They like it because it's a very flexible pick. FAU is going to pick Senna. She's kind of a meme character at this point. You pair her with basically anyone in the bottom lane, and then you just kind of let it happen. The Mundo! We never see Mundo in these tournaments. That's great! I think he's fun to watch, just because he makes people explode. But, you know, I kind of got to root for the home team here. Trine's going to pick Kled. That means, you know, Kettlewhip feels very strongly that he is a better top laner than FAUL's. He probably thinks the Mundo's going top lane. I was kind of feeling that it could be going the bottom lane to be paired with the Senna. Well, of course, they normally do that with like a Tom Kench. But, you know, who knows even. Looks like we're getting the Kaisa pick. Oh no, we're getting the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is just extraordinarily safe. Very first pickable.
Nice.
She has the longest attack range of all ADCs, actually, at 625. Although, because of how attack ranges are calculated, differences of less than 25, or 25 or less, rather, don't actually mean anything. So that's a fun fact for you right there. FAU is going to pick the Fiora, I think, for the top lane to try to counter the Kled, because the Mundo is, as predicted, going to be with the Senna in the bottom lane. Or they might be doing Mundo Jungle, which I know was supposed to be a thing at one point. It just kind of never got off the ground. That was in a wave of, you know, Riot trying to buff certain characters to go jungle who had never done it before.
Run out yellow.
Oh.
You're sitting right on yellow stairs.
They're still gonna ban the Renata. I'm not totally sure what that's about. They don't even have anything that would be good
Man,
for Renata to ult this time.
dead. Behind white.
Unless they're still planning on picking the Kindred, which would just be absolutely insane after how poorly that went last time. Trine with their few seconds left. It's going to ban the Vex. They just don't want to see it again. It didn't really do much that last game, but they don't want to see it again. And FAU is going to ban the Zac. I think that's the same as last game. Just like a good character.
Their teammate came back just in time to watch them lose.
Makes sense. Trina's really taking their time on all these bans. Oh, they're going to ban the Vigar. FAU's going to pick the Jarvan. Alright. You know, I'm not quite sure how the Mundo into Caitlyn matchup goes. I don't think I've ever seen that before in person. And Trine, as is tradition, taking the absolute maximum amount of time to pick the worst character for the situation. Victor or Orianna, right now. Let's go. Vi? They're committing to Sejuani support, I guess. Well, that is, interesting. I don't think she's that good in support, especially into a Mundo. She might just try to focus down Senna the entire game, which will not be fun for Senna, but will be fun to watch, probably. If we like a high-action game like last game. And we're getting the Swain in the mid lane. That's a new one. Kind of love to see it, honestly. Trying expanding their own horizons. Owls are now going to get their last pick of the game, which I think is going to be for mid lane. So they have full knowledge of what Trine's doing. They just need to figure out what goes good in a Swain, which apparently is Anivia. Anivia, of course, being absolutely terrible into Vi and Sejuani. I don't really know what the plan is here, except to maybe win lane against the Swain. But I don't think it's going to be enough. You kind of need to keep advantage through the entire game, rather than, you know, at part of it. Or just only for the first part. Well. Good. Move this over here. Alright. Both teams are ready. We need to wait for Thriller to start, which it looks like his client's bugging out a little bit because it asked him, or it said that he left the lobby. Although he is, of course, the lobby leader. He's the only one that can start the game. So that's very fun. Party owner. Yeah. Here we go. Here are my missions. 7, 6, 5, 4. Just a reminder that both teams are allowed to pick and ban in whatever order they want, so long as the same characters end up picked and banned. Normally they keep bans in the same order just for like simplicity's sake. And they just skipped a ban by waiting too long, so that's cool. But when we get to the pick phase, people will probably pick their own characters in proper order for themselves. Although even that, Trine was supposed to ban the Viego there. They're just, you know, playing a little joke.
The weak fear the shadows.
Fear controls them.
I'm just BMing their top laner there. Just being a little mean. I don't really know what's happening with these vans at this point, but you know, no harm, no foul. And it looks like FAU are skipping a ban in solidarity. That's cool. What a team. Kled time, yep. The Kled is a favorite of Trine's top laner. He's very well practiced at it, so, you know, should see it go well for him in theory. In reality, it's usually more of a coin flip than anyone likes to admit. Well, for now, we're just still going to keep waiting.
Well, now I'm just mad.
Okay, well, I guess I could talk about lane matchups. So, the first and most important thing is that plenty of people think Fiora is a Kled counter, and she's reasonably good at playing into Kled, but you know, you can riposte the second Q, but then you just kind of take the entire W to the face, and you very rarely actually get the stun off it. So, you know, it's not usually the actual play you do, which is really the only way that she's a counter. So, it's much more just like better player wins in the top lane. Jarvan versus Vi, they're basically the same character, except Jarvan's a little worse early than Vi is. So, Trine will probably try to keep advantage through the early game. In the mid lane, Swain versus Anivia, they're both just going to farm forever and not do anything until suddenly, one fight late in the game, they get like a pentakill or something crazy. And in the bot lane, Caitlyn and Sejuani versus Senamundo. I'm not sure what the Senamundo lane looks like, to be entirely honest. They could either get completely poked out by the Caitlyn Sejuani, or just kill Sejuani over and over and scale out of control. It could really go either way, in theory, although, you know, Sejuani might have the good sense to not get killed, being that that is Trine's master player. We have 3 minutes and 30 seconds before the start of the game as we have spectator delay. So, you know, if you didn't get a break last time I told you to take a break, you can get a break now for the same length of time, roughly, at 3 minutes. And if you don't want to, don't. That's how that works. Well, as we are waiting here, we could just think about the future. Think about Trine Esports next year. We only have one player that's on this team graduating, although it is Magic Griffin. Nessie is the best player on the team. We will definitely be sad to see him go. I keep saying we. I will also not be here, so it'll be someone else's problem. But be that as it may, I'm not sure who we have lined up to replace Magic Griffin as a support. I don't believe we have any new recruits lined up, and, you know, League of Legends at Trine does not have enough players to have an actual junior varsity, so we'll be scraping the barrel a little bit there to find someone. But you know, it'll probably work out fine. Either way. That was a Rainbow Six Siege player screaming at the top of his lungs. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that.
Right on my ass, that's why.
So, as far as broadcasting goes next year, we had a couple people lined up, although I think Gabe just stopped showing up to these things. Uh, Another guy, I think he got too busy with engineering. And the third guy is Harrison. So if you've seen any Harrison broadcasts this year, that's what every single broadcast is going to look like starting next year. Unless they get someone else entirely to come in here. Which is a harder sell than it seems, apparently, because I keep having to fill in for people who've cancelled. I guess other people just have much busier schedules than I do, but, you know, who can say? I think this is the most viewers we've had this whole year. So, thank you to each and every one of you for being here. I have to assume half of you are either bots or are not listening because, you know, you've muted the stream and just have it on in the background. But either way, thank you for being here. For the other half of you who are listening and or actively watching the stream, I hope I'm running this to your satisfaction. And we're going back to the loading screen, so again, if it crashes, I'll try to fix it as soon as possible. So please bear with me through any technical difficulties. Although if it worked for the first game, it usually works for the second one.
Oh, I was just about to shoot that dude.
Looks like I got in the loading screen fine, so we will see if you guys are on a black screen or anything. And then from there, figure out what we're doing. Great, we are all in. Trine is looking for another invade. They just love doing that now. This time they're looking for the top lane for some reason. Although, Fiora does have her dash and her flash, which should mean she's a little more slippery than Jinx was in that last game, especially considering there's no Nautilus to root.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
I don't know where they're going or what they're planning on, but it doesn't look like they're going to actually catch the Fiora, unless she just happens to walk into them here. Oh, and she will too. Oh, that's really rough, and she messes up the flash. And the Kled Ignite will just take it. Well, we traded an Ignite for a flash. That's another first blood for Trine that everybody got an assist on. That is just disrespectful. Fiora is pinging the Sejuani Ignite, although that one did not actually happen. Alright, well, it looks like Trine is starting their jungler in the top side this game, which should mean she getting spotted around 3 minutes. That is very good stuff for them. They're going to play around their strongest characters in the best matchup, which I have to assume the Mundo matchup is a good matchup. As Kled just whiffs his Q there. Meanwhile, Sejuani also just missing. I don't know what's gotten into him. But Trine can't seem to land abilities this game. Back in the top lane, both of them have hit level 2. And they're trying to make something happen to each other. Although Kled is handily winning this trade and is going to remount here in a second. He doesn't have Ignite and Fiora does, which I think was the plan. To try to kill him there, but it's just not going to work. All across the map, the game is going pretty much like it did last time, where Trine are just out poking their lane opponents We haven't gotten any solo kills yet, but when we do... Oh wait, in the top lane, we're getting a Jarvan gank onto the Kled. Although he remounts in time to not die. Although, you know, he will eventually die as Jarvan flashes out. Fiora gets the Ignite. So Jarvan here, unlike what I expected, is taking the more aggressive gank timings. And Vi is not really matching it, but that is just because FAU's bottom lane are so far pushed under tower that they are not like able to be killed, practically. Meanwhile, Trine are just basically taking whatever they want in terms of tower plates and everything. FAU's entire bot lane is so low health that they might just have to back for fear of Caitlyn and Sejuani diving them. Although, Jarvan is coming down, it looks like to help. Might relieve some of this pressure here. Fiora is somehow still pushed under tower and 19 CS down, even though Kled died. So that's not good. And then Mundo gets executed somehow as Senna just dies. It looks like Jarvan's trying to come clean something up here, but he doesn't have flash. I don't think he'll be able to. In the middle lane, we're having Swain versus Anivia, the absolute most interactive matchup this game has ever seen, second only to Fizz Vladimir. I'm not really sure what happened with the Mundo there. Maybe his monitor turned off? That was their ADC player who was missing for a while before the start of the first game, so it could be computer trouble. If it is, it doesn't look like FAU are expecting anything to be done about it, because they don't seem to have typed anything in chat. And they'll turn back on objective timers too. Dragon's up, Vi is bot side, Jarvan's top side. This is all the ingredients necessary for Trine to try to take a dragon if they can manage to scare off FAU's bottom lane somehow. Oh, and the Fiora messes up the parry on the Kled Q there. He doesn't get the redash in time, so she manages to just walk out, but that very easily could have just been a kill for Kled. It looks like Jarvan's coming up to try to save her or something, but, you know, when Kled has his passive up, it's hard to guarantee a kill. Although the Fiora Ignite is back up, we have to recognize that. Oh, and Fiora has ult now, which Kled does not. Actually, he has ult now. I just lied. Oh, and Fiora doing the parry gimmick in combination with the Jarvan knockup to guarantee a stun. Trine are going to get the dragon, but the score is 2-2, which is better than it was at any point in the last game for FAU. It looks like Fiora is taking the opportunity while Jarvan's top to just like annihilate his jungle. He's going to take some of hers in return. But on the other hand, Caitlyn, or Senna, looks very squishy here. If, as soon as Sejuani gets ult, that's probably going to be a very dead ADC. Fiora and Kled are switching lanes, it looks like. Nope, not Fiora and Kled. Swain and Kled are switching lanes. As Jarvan comes for his, like, third gank top lane? Fiora, Vi has not really managed to do anything this game, actually. Although it looks like she's going to have something happen here. No, they're just dewarding. Strictly dewarding. just the Kled ult into the destruction under the tower there. It was a double kill for Kled. You know, this is not as one-sided as the last game, but I can definitely see some of the same patterns popping up. Although, Jarvan going to get his team their first jungle objective of the series with this Rift Herald in the top lane. Trine aren't really contesting it at all, so it's a actual guarantee that they get it, which is good. You know, we wouldn't want such a momentous occasion to just be stolen away. Meanwhile, Vi is considering just tower diving the Senna again. Oh, that's so cruel. And with the Sejuani ult, there's literally nothing she can do about it. FAU is down to 1 tower plating on their bottom lane tower here, and Mundo can't really solo defend against, you know, Caitlyn Sejuani, especially when he lets his passive go down like that, so that's going to be a problem for him, likely. Jarvan just ulting and holding Swain there for his entire health bar. He has no mana to fight back, really, so he just kind of dies unceremoniously. Meanwhile, Mundo almost dies. Oh, actually does get taken down by the Caitlyn ult there, leaving it at 6-4. And Caitlyn did ghost for some reason. I'm not quite sure what that's about. But it looks like Jarvan has decided to play exclusively around topside this game because he is not leaving that lane, no matter what. Kled does have his first full item somehow, so that's going to be a problem for Fiora here in a moment. If he lands his E next time, I mean. Well, as for right now, she's just trying and failing to freeze near her tower. Well, not necessarily failing. It's just she's taking a lot of minion damage that she can't necessarily afford at the moment. Trine are sending Swain to the bottom lane for a minute just to try to bully the Senna into submission, I guess. And Jarvan is coming bot for the 5th time this game. Or at least 5th that I've been counting, which is entirely too many times. Fiora gets re-dash gimmicked by the Kled E there. He gets a second dash on anyone he's dashed at before for a limited amount of time that can follow them even through flash. And Jarvan just manages to kill Kled in response. He simply can't generate enough rage to remount in time, and the Senna plus the Caitlyn are just enough. Nope. The Sejuani plus the Caitlyn, there we go, are enough to just remove the Senna from the game. And they're probably going to continue doing that for the entire game if I had to guess. They're just going to be free gold for them constantly. Caitlyn did take Kraken Slayer for the Mundo, it looks like. Even though normally I know he likes to take what's it called? Gale Force for more defensive options. But I guess he doesn't feel like he needs it. Meanwhile, Jarvan trying desperately to take that tower. Although Vi is just going to take a dragon on her own? I don't think anyone knew that was happening. And Kled comes back in time to stop him from taking the tower anyway. Alright. Well. It looks like Trine are just committing to taking this tower, after which they will likely just obliterate this Mundo. Although Sejuani goes a little too early, the tower doesn't fall fast enough for Caitlyn to be able to follow up realistically. She does get the kill anyway, and we'll probably get a second kill here. Oh no, just barely, although the Swain's there to clean it up. And in the top lane, Fiora is learning that the Kled into Fiora matchup is not actually a counter. And Vi has to flash out of the Jarvan ult to follow up for a kill there, but now Anivia is just way too far up, trying to make something happen. She doesn't manage to do the wall in time, or properly in the right angle, so has to flash out as well. That is 2 for 1 in the middle lane. Or, well, I mean, 4 for 1 if you count the Caitlyn play. And just a lot of resources exchange on both sides that Trine can really afford to spend right now, and I don't think FAU can afford. Alright. So. Next up, we've got everybody forming up around the top side here, I think because the next Rift Herald's up soon. Yep, 38 seconds. Dragon is the only reason to be on bottom side right now since or for Trine, since FAU's first tower is gone. And that's not up for another 3 minutes. So Trine, of course, are preparing for the Rift Herald instead. It doesn't look like they knew that there was going to be a ward there, although it might not matter as Fiora is just being chased down by the Sejuani. She manages to parry a stun, but they just have more. There's not a lot you can do there when you have those 3 champions in particular running you down. Now that they've gotten all the priority topside by killing the top laner, looks like they're just going to move into the Rift Herald immediately as it spawns. In the bottom lane, Swain is having a rough time against Jarvan and Anivia, and in the mid lane, Mundo and Senna are coming to contest the Kled. Alright, well that is going to be... Trine have taken 2 dragons and a Rift Herald at this point. They could probably crash it into this tower if they want to and immediately take a tier 2 somewhere. And possibly even crash it into tier 3 if they, even want to go for that this early. They're just going to pop it in the top lane and immediately take a tower. And it looks like they're trying to crash it in the tier 3. Depending on how well this goes for them, they might be able to even just take this tier 3 and crash it and inhib, although no, of course not. FAU are forming up around it to try to stop them. Although Jarvan and Anivia are both still in the bottom lane trying to deal with Swain. They can't really effectively do that. He just has a little bit too much defense, and Kled is teleporting into ult. He's just barely going to hit the Anivia. The passive the respawn egg is down now, and he's dead anyway. Meanwhile, Caitlyn having the absolute time of her life. Just rapid firing on everybody who comes near. With Sejuani backing her up, there's not really a lot she has to fear besides Jarvan's ult combo, which is coming off cooldown now. It looks like he's coming up to try to do something. Although, Sejuani is standing between him and Caitlyn, which is kind of an immovable wall at this current point. Alright. In the bottom lane, Kled is just going ham for what seems to be no reason. Oh, and he's going to die for it. I wasn't expecting him to die there. I kind of assumed he was going to remount there in a second. But the Anivia E plus the Caitlyn, or plus the Senna Q is just so much burst damage that he just seemed to disappear. Fiora's parry is down because she walked into a Caitlyn trap, which means this is the best opportunity they have to fight back, except they aren't ready for it. They don't have the Sejuani ult. Nobody has health or mana. And Vi is just trying to escape. Of course, they will do successfully, although this will likely lead to FAU's first dragon of the series. Although actually Vi is here, it looks like she's trying to steal it. We might see something exciting here. Yup, that's going to be a steal for the Vi. Trine just absolutely taking every dragon this whole series, actually. FAU has not gotten a single dragon. Fiora is not ready to fight back against the Kled, and neither is the Mundo. is preoccupied with the Swain. So it looks like Trine might be able to just end the game here. That was 3 for nothing, and they got the dragon. That is very poor for FAU. Plus now Jarvan's having to deal with Swain harassing him, so he can't really get a back off, which means he has to walk back into his base, which is going to be a little bit slower, and does not put him, you know, behind his towers, as I'm sure he would like it to. It looks like I was a little hasty with that call there. They definitely aren't going to be able to end the game unless they win another fight here, and they might. Actually, the Sejuani ult, followed by the Caitlyn just clean play and kiting. Oh no, she actually goes down. She's most of their damage, except Kled's there to back them up. And Swain is, you know, reaching some sort of breakpoint for his damage. He's doing stuff. It's not like, you know, Caitlyn tier stuff, but it's stuff. And yeah, that is going to be the end of the game. Well, 19 minutes. What did I say at the start of this? They could win. I wanted them to win in 40 minutes total, and I think the first game was 25, the second game was 19, so they're just barely over. Too bad for them. I guess they're all fired. All right. I asked for 40 minutes, actually. I did. Last night, and also at the start of this stream, I said 40 minutes. Alright, well, that is going to be the end of Teemo Cup Week 1. We are apparently going into Week 2, which is really cool and fun. Congratulations to the Trine team. And let's hope they can keep it up next week. Alright. I hope you all tune in next